rotations are a key element in hardpoint strategy, but the routes you take and when you take them matter. So here are 3 tips on how to effectively rotate in hardpoint. You know what to do, so let's hop right into it. But quickly, if you haven't checked out my videos about reading and manipulating spawns, I put the links in the description below, so check those out first and then come back to this one because they do go hand in hand with what we're covering today. With that said, the primary goal of rotations are to secure the preferred spawns for a given hardpoint, but also to gain map control in a manner that forces your opponent to break through a specific lane. Which brings us to tip number 1. Timing is everything. You never want to rotate too early or too late. Rotating too early can result in losing map control for the current hill, and you never want to just leave time uncontested. On the flip side, rotating too late then forces you to have to break a hill that is constantly being supplied with enemy reinforcements due to their control of the spawns. So there is a sweet spot, which is around 10 to 20 seconds before the new hill pops, where you should be working toward a rotation, but it depends on a few factors. The first factor being the size of the map and the specific hill. You should be rotating on the earlier side on larger maps or hills that are far apart from one another. But an early rotation is especially necessary for money hills. If you don't already know, money hills are hills that are easily defended but difficult to break. Therefore, you want to get there first to take advantage of that easy defense. Think P3 on Tuscan. That being said, with hills that are easily contested or out in the open, you don't necessarily need to worry about rotating too early, but you should try to use those hills to think ahead to the hill after it. For example, P5 on Berlin is smack dab in the middle of the map and it's highly contested. Neither team is likely going to get much time on it, so the real focus should be to keep the enemy team off of it while trying to secure spawns for P1, which is much more difficult to break. Just make sure that while you're rotating that you're informing your team that you are shifting your sphere of influence on the map and to look in the direction of the spawns you're sending the enemy players to. The second factor of timing brings us to tip number 2. Recognize your opponent's rotational patterns and use that information to counter them. Within the first few hardpoints, you should be able to recognize your opponent's tendencies when it comes to rotations. For example, if they seem to always be rotating early, you should be sending at least one person much earlier than you would normally be rotating to counter that. On the flip side, if they aren't thinking ahead, then that gives you more time to fight for the current hill. Bottom line, identify the playstyles you're playing against so that you can then counter them appropriately. Moving on to tip number 3, trigger discipline on rotation is key. Not all kills are created equal. Some kills can cost you a win and be more detrimental than helpful. In the case of rotations, you want to try your best to rotate without alerting the enemy team that you're thinking ahead. So if you don't need to take a gunfight, just keep focused on the objective goal because you want to maintain the element of surprise. Furthermore, there are going to be times that an enemy player is going to be trying to rotate at the same time that you are, and if they are not aware of your presence, hold off on killing them for as long as possible, or if you are able to wait until the last seconds leading up to the new hill. A kill on rotation just before the new hill pops can be devastating because you're stripping the enemy team of any time to react and recover. That being said, if you kill them straight away, you are indicating to them that the rotation has already begun and they will divert their efforts to you. Allow them to feel as though they've achieved the early rotation and strike at the last second, leaving them with no time to recover. Here's my favorite example of this from this Pro League match with Optic Texas versus the LA Thieves in this Tuscan hardpoint. Shotzzy of Optic Texas has rotated early to P5 and pushed out onto the roof side. The LA Thieves, down over 60 points, need one good hold in order to get back into this game. So they send number 5 in Octane to rotate and secure the preferred spawns on the roof side for P5, where Shotzzy is lying in wait. Watch as Shotzzy sees Octane run past him and practice his trigger discipline for a full 8 seconds, waiting to eliminate him with only 2 seconds left before the new hill pops, putting the Thieves on the back foot once again for the new hill. If Shotzzy would have killed Octane as soon as he saw him, it would have provided the LA Thieves enough time to react and recover. However, waiting to kill Octane until the last second was a devastating blow in a critical point of the game. Remember, not all kills are created equal. Those 8 seconds could have been the difference between the Thieves regaining map control and making up the deficit, or being behind on yet another hill rotation. Check out this video if you want some tips for better defensive objective holds, but that does it for today's video. I'll see you tomorrow on day 4 of 30 of posting every day. You know what to do. My name is Drew, this was Sablehound, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, I want to be famous.